low prices and spooky savings. So treat yourself to one of our monster deals.
Good morning, good morning. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning so far. You've got that extra hour in bed. Hallelujah. Didn't do me any good though, did it? Look at the state of me. Now, we have got, in my defence, my neighbours had a party last night. Now, and it went on and on and on. I didn't even get invited and it was on my driveway. How nice was that? Yeah, I did sort of get invited, but it was a, oh, we're having a party, do you want to come last minute sort of invite, so I knew they didn't really want me there. Now, we have got the most amazing quiltinator for you in this hour. It's all about the quilting classroom with Jenny Raymond. If you want to learn how to do quilting, then look no further. Jenny is in the house, but don't forget, anything that you buy in this hour, you will have postage payback, which means if you pay your postage, it will be credited back into your account to spend from Wednesday onwards. Now, also remember, well, you can't remember something if you didn't know it in the first place, so let me tell you about the ticket giveaway that we've got. If you email in the show in this hour or any other hour leading up until Crafting Live here in Peterborough, the 11th and 12th of November, where there are absolutely loads and loads and loads of demonstrations going on, all in a crafty manner, and loads of us are going to be there to meet you and give you big hugs and kisses. We will be drawing out from those that have emailed in to win a pair of tickets for free. Now, you can still shop ahead on the website for those tickets. It's a minimum of £1 donation and everything goes to charity. Now, not on me, Todd, as you'll be extremely glad to know. Let's go and meet another Jenny. Hello. Which one's worse, this one or this one? We're looking good today. You look sexy Halloween, though.
Well, I do Halloween, you see. Like to cast a spell on everybody.
You can't not love this woman. You just can't. Now, Jenny, we've got so much in the show. We've got your book. In fact, shall we whiz down? Because I know everybody's going to want to.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping as we go. Right. OK, come on.
Well, now, this is a quilting classroom show,
yes,
which means that I'm going to give everybody the details for all of this. And then you want me out of here.
Yeah, you have to push off.
There's no place for me in here.
No, sorry.
There's no place for non-quilters. Yeah, you literally can back me out. Yep. So let's very quickly whiz down and see all the goodies that we've got for everybody. And then I know that you've tuned in so that you can watch Jenny and you don't want to be interrupted, and that's fine. I will get out of here. Now, Jenny, your books are amazing and loved and cherished by everybody who has them. Talk to me about this pair of books.
These are silly things to do with fabric. There are lots of little projects. There's about 36 different projects throughout there.
Okay.
And a lot of the projects actually can be done with small scraps of fabrics. There's also several of the projects that, strangely enough, use the template, which we'll come to in a moment. The books stand alone. They've got all the information that's inside them, plus some funny stories, etc., etc. So those are the books. When we had them on the show last time, they sold out.
They did.
And, you know, there is a limited print run, and will I be doing any more? I don't know, so it's up to you. They might cast a spell on you as well.
Now, you're getting both books for £16.19 if you're in the club, and don't forget that postage payback, 385,835. You can do those little penguins that I just love. Now, we've also got the triangle for you. We're going to whiz through these because I know that you've tuned in to get quilty. It is quilting classroom. Now, what about this?
This is the triangle that I'm using for the quilting classroom. And if we have a very quick look over there at the starry thing on the wall, or the hay bale rather, that is what we're doing in the quilting classroom, and it uses this particular template. You can also use this template for two ideas that are in the books, one of which is the bag I'll show you in a moment, and the other of which is for making the triangle proper-upper. So this is a really useful big triangle. It's a 12-inch high, 60-degree triangle marked out in 1/8 of an inch, and you will need 1/8 of an inch, as you will see very shortly. So for the quilting classroom, you are going to need that particular template.
Important to note, Jenny, that this does sell out every time you bring it to air. So if you would like this, and Jenny is going to be using this a little bit later on, then you need to grab it fast at £13.49, 295. 391. Now the 24-inch
by 6-inch folding ruler. Right, okay.
Wow!
This opens out. And if you open it right out, it opens out into a 24-inch long ruler. It is an absolutely great bit of kit because you don't have to have the whole ruler. You can fold part of it in.
Brilliant.
You can fold it up completely. It is the end of snapped rulers. We had this on a show I did a week or so ago, and it was extraordinarily popular. They managed to get more stock in, but there may not be any more stock. So what we've got is what we've got.
Okay.
But this is the end of all those snap rulers. And it's also, it's really good because it's also a prop. You can prop things up with it. So I had various things propped up like that when I wanted something standing up.
Oh, so you can use it for display purposes as well. I love something that has a double meaning. £20.69 for that. It's 6 by 24 inches, 387101. That price tag I gave you was your club price. Fat quarters. I can't get enough of this. I love the fox.
Right. Now, you need this to make the design that we've got in the quilting classroom. And the reason why this pack is so useful is it has 2 of the same colour in it. So it's got 6 fat quarters, 2 being the fox. There's a red one, a green one, a grey one, and a white one with Christmas trees on. And because you need 12 triangles, you actually need 2 fat quarters the same colour. So I chose this one specifically because it's got the right amount of fabric in it.
And I love the illustrations.
Yes,
they're so
they're
cute.
really, really cutesy on there.
So they are from the Craft Cotton Company. They are cotton fat quarters and they're just gorgeous. 18 inches by 22 inches. They're only £8.99. Yep. 376513. That was your club price tag.
That's
remember,
a yard and a half of
postage
fabric.
And payback. I'm glad you said that because I'm no good at that. Now, mini...
Right, now you're going to need something to back your quilts with. And these are really useful, these little mini bolts. They're 1.5 metres of fabric. This one is partially polyester and cotton, which is absolutely fine. Well, you can make anything with it. You can make pictures, you can make small quilts, you can make duvet covers, you can use it for the children. It's great for perhaps using for cards. You could cut these out and stick them onto cards. The kids can use it because you can cut out small squares, you can sew the squares together. But I would like it very much because it's a nice big piece. It's great for backing a small quilt. Saves joining all those pieces together.
Oh, so it's 1.5 metres?
1.5 metres.
By 1.5 metres?
1.5 metres by 45, I believe that one is.
Wow. Oh, yeah, it says it. Oh, no, it's not. It is 1.5 by 1.5.
So it's a square, yes.
Wow.
For that amount of money.
Under £10. That's phenomenal. Your Bright Christmas mini bolt is £8.99. Actually, it's not 100% cotton. It's 65% polyester and 35% cotton.
Which is fine. So it washes X. And for a backing fabric, it doesn't matter. So I will be very happy with that.
We had the wrong details on. They're just coming back up because this one is the right details. So this one is it is 1.5 by 1.5. It is 65% polyester, 35% cotton, and is under £10 at £8.99 if you're in the club. Now, the other one was the details for this, which is 100% cotton, and this is a mini bolt, the same size.
Exactly the same size. It's another big square of fabric, so it's 1.5 metres by 1.5 metres, which roughly, I suppose, is 3'6", is 54 inches by 54 inches. For those who like certificate inches, which is quite a big bit of fabric.
Does it matter if you get a poly-cotton mix or if you have cotton? It doesn't really make a difference
not
to you?
Not backing fabric. And that will be great for a couple of those stitched together, or use those for Christmas toy bags.
Oh,
toy bags for kids, you know, you can, if you bought one of those, that would probably make 3 or 4 toy bags. Present bags to go underneath the Christmas tree. Christmas stockings, think of it like that. Add a bit of red for a trim, a few bows on the front, a bit of sparkle.
Perfect.
Quick, cheap Christmas tablecloth. You know, you need a new tablecloth. Buy one of those, or even the other one would be even better as a tablecloth with the polyester in it. It'll wash even better. And add an edging round it, got a tablecloth, fantastic. Bung it in your basket, you get your postage deal.
Oh, I love that. What a great idea. £8.99. We're really busy already. 387529. Now, next, we have the shapes. Now, last time I did these with you, they sold out.
Right.
So I'd be quick with these.
These are very important because these do the St. David's Star. And on the wall over there, the black thing is the St. David's Star. I have done this on the show several times before. This is the last time, are you listening, of me demonstrating the St. David's Star. I will not be doing it again. It's in the PDF.
Whatever, full stop?
No, because I've done it several times now. But you need these 3 templates to do it. And the reason why these 3 templates are so good, incidentally, you might get yours in the clear colour.
Okay.
Is that they all fit together. So a hexagon is in fact 6 of those, and 3 of those make a hexagon. So all 3 shapes work in harmony and are very necessary together.
Fantastic. So if you want to make the perfect quilt, you can do it.
And you've got a great price there.
Brilliant price, so you're
Yes.
saving over £37 when 37% when you're in the club. £25 and 19 pence is your club price. 247319. The cutting mat is next. So your cutting mat, I need this, don't
This is
I?
a rotating cutting mat.
Hang on a minute.
Because when you come
Is this
to
the base of
watch
it
your-
here, then?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Things like hexagons or triangles, you can put it on there and you turn the mat. And it's so simply put together. There's no pads, no pins, no nothing. There's nothing magnetic.
Oh, so it can't snap
just
or anything?
Can't snap. It's a lovely solid board at the bottom that doesn't slide with a circle on the top there. This slot's on the top. Once you've got 2 into place, it turns round. So think no more trying to get your body at a funny angle. Just turn the mat. Focus.
Oh, easy. That's just such a simple idea, but it makes such a huge difference, doesn't it? And it's got all your grid work done for you in there. £31.49 if you're in the club. 387105. Now, what do we have
Let me
here?
get mine, because they've opened the packet. We have the micro stitch tool. Hold your hand up, please.
You're not going to stab me,
No,
are
I'm
you?
not. Just hold
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
That
I
is
thought
a
you were going to
micro
stab me,
tag.
but I let you do it.
Oh, foolish woman.
I was like, okay, she's going to stab me, but I can't do anything about
Right,
it.
these are micro tags.
Wow.
And they will hold your layers together. They are great for pinning up hems, curtains, holding, she bearing her breast, your microphone in place, you see. I have them in various places. These
Can we show you that
Yes,
again?
here
Not
we are
the
again.
not the breast bit, but
No, there you are. It's just holding my microphone
wow,
in place.
that's so clever.
These are a really useful tool, but quilters use them for anchoring the layers together before quilting, because they'll really hold those layers, and you can leave them until the very end, and then you simply snip them out after you've done your quilting. So it means you're not losing, as you can do with the bigger ones, the bits into the machine. They don't get caught on the presser foot. These are absolutely ace thing, and it comes with 1,200 tacks,
Wow.
white ones and indeed black ones, and I think we've got a spare packet with them.
you have this is the natural collection, and this is the black collection, I believe.
No,
that's the natural.
This
that's
one comes
the black.
with a spare natural, so you get an extra 1,000 or something or other tags with it, and then you get the black one.
that comes with black.
Well, they both have black and white in them, and it comes with a black one, so you get black and white in them both, but you've got extra black with that lot, extra white with that lot.
Right, okie dokie. £22.49. 285221. That's amazing.
Very good, absolutely brilliant.
I could cheat with life by stitching things together
Yes,
with
of
those,
course you
couldn't
do.
I? And
Yes,
actually go
yes,
out and be
yes,
like, I've held my own dress
Yes,
together.
quite. It does. They're really strong.
What
I have
are these?
skirts. Right, these are clips. These are great clips for quilting. And how they work is they will hold your various pieces together when you're sewing. They're great for organising the office. The nice thing about it when you're working with them on the sewing machine is they have a flat bottom, to have a flat bottom. But these are particularly good clips. So if anyone is looking for some form of clips, organising clips, perhaps you've got a raft of pieces you want to keep together, these clips
They
are
open wide as
great.
well, don't they?
They open really wide. Super things, those.
Pack of 10 for £7.19. 274050 is your item code. Now, we have got
Gloves.
I had
Right.
these on earlier,
Yes,
didn't I? I was like,
yes.
oh, Jenny, gloves. I
Right,
like these.
These are gloves for quilting, and the reason why that people like them for quilting is they have a slightly rough surface, so that when you've got your hands on your quilt and you're massaging it round to free motion it, you can grip the quilt surface. And we've got them in
see.
2 sizes. We've got them in small and we've got them in large. These are something, it's a great Christmas present. You know, if you want to give somebody a Christmas present for a quilter, buy her a pair of those, because after a while, you know, they do lose their sort of
Just replenish
grippiness.
them after a
So you
couple of
need to
years.
replenish them.
Wow, this is a great one. £8.09. Oh, sorry, we got the wrong details.
Yeah, why don't you
My
look at
fault
the price?
entirely. I didn't hear. It was my fault. These are £4.49.
I know. Yeah.
Small or large are your options. £4.49. 3/8. I thought they were a brilliant
Now,
£8.
I sometimes have the small ones, and I cut the fingers off the small ones, because at that price you can do it, and I move the fingers up a bit, so I put my little finger on there, etc., and they fit like little finger gloves. So I've just got my fingers with something roughened on the end, and that's great.
Oh, to be in the head of Jenny Raymond. 387125. I'm ever so sorry. I gave you the wrong thing. Now we have for you the bias tape maker. What does this do for me, Jenny?
Right, that will make the bias tape to go around the edge of all your garments what you need, and which you could, of course, attach with your micro-stitch tool. It's great for adding anything to garments, dressmaking curtains. It's for your bindings. It makes binding. You feed flat fabric in one end and out it comes the other end, neatly folded with sides to the middle. Just like that awful bias binding you used to buy years ago on a card in the shop. You know, your mum would send you to haberdashers to go and buy some bias binding for the school frock she was giving. You probably didn't have this.
I did.
And you'd have to buy the make that they...
It was my gran. We used to spend hours in the shop.
But you see, now you can make your own. So that's what that's for.
How wonderful. What, in one tool? That's amazing.
Thread it through and out it comes.
It's £8 and £9. That's going to save you a lot of money.
And you can have quality binding made with the fabric that matches what you're doing and not any old fabric, because that's what the fabric shop sells.
And you know what? You never have to go back out to get it again.
Nope.
You're never going to run out.
Nope.
269095 is your item code. Now, what is this ginormous, wonderful thing?
Right, we had this on a show a week or so ago. Now, this is a circle cutter. And I haven't got mine out, but we'll just very briefly describe it. What happens is the knob here slots into part of the circle, and you literally, with the palm of your hand, just stroke it round, and it cuts out perfect circles in a whole load of different sizes, up to 12 inches.
That's incredible.
Yes. Dead easy to use. It's a Fiskars product. Fiskars are absolutely known for their quality, engineering, the amazing craftsmanship they put into it. They've really thought about it. And this is good for left-handed people, right-handed people, it doesn't matter. Insert the tool into the slot in there and just roll it round, and round it goes.
We have a picture of it that shows you. Here we go. So you can sort of get more of an idea about what you've got here. $26.99, and this is going to change the way you quilt. That's your club members price tag. Absolutely worth becoming a member of the club if you're going to be investing in any of your quilting pieces. So your folding square, which also is a triangle, then, is it?
Right, it starts off as a triangle. And then when you open it out, it actually becomes a square. So, triangle. This is a half-square triangle with all the measurements you would want for all your half-square designs. And then, ba-dum, it's a square. It's a square up to 8 inches, so for squaring off, for cutting your squares. And again, it's not going to crack or break because you've got double acrylic there.
Aha!
And it's not going to break anywhere near so much as is the square. So your half-square triangle and your square all in one tool, another Fiskars product. I think they've come up with some cracking ideas. The folding ruler, the folding triangle that is also a square. Amazing.
And at $15.25 if you're in the club, affordable as well. 387103. These threads are gorgeous. Now, these do come beautifully packaged, but ours have just been a bit opened and closed quite a lot. But I love the way that the Craft Cotton Company package things. I think it looks beautiful, and this makes a great gift for anybody who is into their sewing of any kind, because it's beautiful thread, isn't it?
It is. Now, I was given the job of testing this thread, and I took reels of thread to my classes, and we tried them on a wide variety of different machines, and everybody's machine was happy with them, because not all machines like all threads. But I failed to find a machine that didn't like that as a thread, either top or on the bottom. So I can truthfully say it works. And it is. It's a great collection. It's great as a gift. You could even buy it, split it up into, say, 3s. You get 6 little gifts, put them in a little gift bag and give them as little individual presents.
Oh, that'd be really cute,
So you get
wouldn't
6 presents out of it.
So you get 24 for $26.99 if you're in the club. 336753. Like Jenny said, yet to find a sewing machine. These don't run through beautifully. And talking of sewing machines, we have the Simplicity Satin 197. It has 197 stitches, as the name might suggest. It comes with an extension table. And you know what? Extension tables can be about £25 and up, can't they? But also you're getting the 3 patterns and a 2-year warranty. This is the one that Jenny is using today. And this is the one that Jenny would recommend. It is fully digitalised, fully computerised, and is on FlexiPays, 4 FlexiPays of £92 and 3 if you're in the club. please shop ahead on the website. There's loads on there. And if you feel like you've missed out and you've just tuned in, then everything that we've just run through is there for you to purchase as Jenny uses it. But I am going to get kicked out because, Jenny, you are set up and you are ready to go, aren't you?
I am sort of set up and I am sort of ready to go. So I shall cast a vanishing spell upon you. And you can vanish, poof! And you see the power of the teacher. Right, I should put my broomstick down, and I refuse to teach a class from wearing a silly hat. I better put it down there on the floor. Incidentally, the micro tag is very good for attaching one's hat band to one's hat in addition. Okay, we are gathered together to do the quilting classroom. There is a PDF for it. You will get it in full, glorious Technicolor, and here is the PDF for the quilting classroom. That will take you through all the various stages that I am talking about. I chose to use the Winter Wonderland fabric, and the reason for choosing to use it is it happens to have 2 of the same coloured fabric in it, because you're going to need 12 triangles. And that will require 2 fat quarters. So if you're not using the Winter Wonderland one, buy a fat quarter set, either that has 2 of the same in, or buy yourself 6 fat quarters. 2 need to be the same colour. The 4 can be another colour. What I did initially was took out the fox fabric, and from the fox fabric I cut 8.5-inch wide strips. These strips are then going to be cut into triangles using the So Easy triangle ruler. Now I'm just going to go and get the design from the wall over here, then you can see exactly what we're doing. So here is our Christmas tree design that we are going to be making. If for some reason this is phasing you, there is a smaller version which I will mention at the end of the classroom. And all the triangles here can be cut using the So Easy big 12-inch triangle. And you can see on the back I used a mini bolt. It happened to have robins on for my backing fabric. Now, initially, having cut our 8.5-inch strips, we're going to be cutting 12 triangles from the foxes and 6 triangles from the red fabric. Once you cut your 8.5-inch strip, and that's where the folding ruler, which I put down somewhere and lost where I put it, there it is. This is great because it just saved. I have got so many broken rulers. I no longer have broken rulers. I can keep this in my box. It doesn't take up any space, and thank goodness for that, no more broken pieces. Open out your 8.5-inch strip. Take the big triangle. You're going to be putting the very top of the triangle. Now, this triangle has a point on it, and there is a reason for that. It's just the way that the shape is actually made. So you're not looking at a flat bit. Some of the templates I've used have a flat end. This one doesn't. The point goes to the very edge of the fabric. Guard off whichever rotary cutter you're using. Cut up one side. You don't want to cut towards yourself, so flip the fabric over. Now, that's where, indeed, the rotating cutting mat, which you'll see me use later on, is in fact extremely good because you don't have to flip the fabric over. All you've got to do is turn the mat. So you'll want 12 triangles cutting out of the fox fabric and 6 triangles cutting out of the red fabric. Now, in order to save material and to save a bit of space, I had to work with slightly smaller triangles, so don't be confused. Mine are a little bit smaller. I, in fact, used a 7-inch strip for cutting these out of, simply because there just isn't the room to have such a large piece of fabric. What is going to happen initially is we're going to take one of the turquoise ones and stitch it to one of the red ones. Now, the important part about this is lay out your 3 pieces and lay them out so you've got a straight grain here and a straight grain there and a straight grain there. That is important. These triangles happen to have one stretchy side there, one stretchy side there, and that edge is straight. So make sure you've got straight, straight, straight. So the stretches here and here are going to be together. So I've laid out my 3 pieces, 2 foxes and a red. Sew 1 foxy to the red using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. When you come to sew them together, they will fit absolutely exactly. No sort of messing around, just sew right from one end to t'other. Open it out. Now, I'm afraid with this particular piece, I am a fan of pressing the seams open and flat. So get your fingers up inside there, and this is where the good old Clover mini iron is remarkably useful for pressing the seam open and flat. I prefer you not to do it on your cutting mat, but there just isn't space here to go to the ironing board. So there we have one fox to one red triangle. Take the other fox and stitch it on the other side. You might find that because the design has a direction, that some parts of the pattern will have two foxes one way up and some parts will have the pattern will have two foxes the other way up. Does it matter? The answer is no. And again, you're going to sew it on all the way down there, making a nice firm seam down the edge. As you sew over, you'll find that the second piece will overlap the first piece on the corner here. And can you see my stitching goes right through where they overlap? Really close. Once you've done that, press the back seam open and flat again. I'm aware that this is controversy and people don't always like pressing the seam open and flat, but I feel it gives you a better junction here. And the advantage of it is that at this point there, can you see in the open seam, that is the top of the very point on this side of the fabric. So by opening the seam, not only have I reduced bulk, but I've given myself a guide as to where to stitch through. It's at this stage, if you can remember, to cut the little ears off. So remove the ears there, there, and along the top. If you don't take the ears off, they tend to catch in the stitching. Now, in the time-honoured way, let's get rid of those on the floor. You'll need to make this 6 times. So repeat that action 5 more times. So you've got 6 of those in total. You're then going to make the second half of the design. And the second half of the design will come from 4 5/8 inch strips. And I chose to cut 2 grey ones and 1 Christmas tree one. Let's have them out there. And here again, they are going to be sewn together to make the same little wedge shape. The Christmas tree one in between the 2 grey ones, and exactly the same piecing technique. Grey one onto one side, and let's just sew it on this little machine. The nice thing about this little machine is that I can very easily set the needle to 1/4 inch. And on this machine, and indeed on many others of similar ilk, if I shift the needle with the stitch width to 5.5, I will set my needle at 1/4 inch from this edge of the presser foot. Pop it underneath the presser foot and sew all the way down the edge of material. Do make sure when you lay these pieces out you get the straights and the stretches together. It does show you fairly clearly on the PDF. And also remember the little thread saver. It will save a huge amount of thread. It also stops the machine from unthreading, the needle from unthreading, jumping about out of the take-up lever, etc., etc. When you've sewn down one side, open it out, open your seam and add the other piece to the other side. So seam opened and add the other piece to the other side. And make doubly sure you get the straight grain there and the stretchy to the stretchy. I think it will lie much better if you can try to get your grains gathered together. Pop it on the top, it'll stick out a bit top and bottom, and it's where they stick out and where they cross over is where your seam will go through. So let's just anchor that onto there. So you're going to repeat this again 6 times. So you'll end up with 6 of these. And they came from a 4 5/8 inch strip. The nice thing about that template I'm using is it will do 1/8 of an inch. Not all templates do that. So you'll end up with a piece like that. And all we're going to do now is to join this section to that section, making a wedge shape. So let me move those pieces out the way and get rid of them on the floor. I'll probably regret that and have to find them in a minute. Once you've pressed the seam open and flat, and indeed cut your little ears off, not literally, metaphorically, lay the 2 pieces together. And this is where you can see the importance of opening that seam, because that's where you want to sew through. They will cross over either end on the seam allowance. So can you see where it sticks out both here and indeed both here? Either end it will stick out, and you want to start your stitching in there through this little point. Now technically from there to the top of the point should be 1/4 inch, but if it isn't, you come 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, deviate, 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 and then back to 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, because in the patchwork world our points are really important, and it pays to be a Mr. or a Mr. Picky Pants about getting your points accurate. So let me just quickly whip along there. So start sewing in there, aim for the point. There's nothing to match up underneath. Ensure you sew exactly through that junction. I often find something like a barbecue skewer is remarkably useful for helping to guide things underneath the sewing machine. It's a little kinder than a metal stiletto. And then straight out the other end. There we go. And this will have to happen 6 times as well. So you will end up with 6 shapes that look a little bit like this. Now, I decided that I wanted to have a little larger section, so I added an extra strip to the bottom of mine. Now, just to return to this piece, you can see I press my seam open and flat. And again, the little ears can be cut off either now or when you've done the stitching of that seam afterwards. It doesn't matter, but do try and keep the ears out of the way. This shape now needs to have an extension to it. And I use the green star material. And I wanted to fussy cut it. Fussy cutting is where you specifically cut along one particular part of the fabric. Now, if I can find where I put my folded ruler, there it is. Let's open it up. The nice thing about this ruler was I liked the very clear 1/4 inch line all the way along there. So in order to fussy cut this, I'm going to lay the 1/4 inch line exactly on that white line there. So I can cut my fabric back to a 1/4 inch either side of that particular motif in the middle. And just wiggle your way along. Sometimes fabrics you have to adjust the ruler to fit the fabric. There we go. And just work your way along. And then when you've done that to one side, turn it round and cut it off the same the other side. So this ruler is remarkably good for fussy cutting and for not breaking. Let's pop it away because I've already done one of those. Get that out of the way. So what will happen now is you're going to sew this strip to the fat end of our wedge. Put it right sides together, and if you sew it in place, sewing along this line, you will get a beautiful pattern coming on the other side. Now, the strip is deliberately, and all the measurements are on the PDF, a little bit too long because it's going to be cut back to make the correct size in the end, so stitch it on. When you come to stitch it on, this is where something slightly different from what the norm will happen, is I will now press my seams towards the outside edge. And you might say, why on earth is she suddenly doing that? Well, the reason for that is when I'm adding a border, and this is technically a border, I like the border seams to go towards the outside edge simply because it works like a frame, the frame of a picture. If you think it has a card mount on top, it frames the picture. There is sort of a shadow going down into the work. Now, as this is a bit too long, this is where you return to your ruler, which is over there. Let's borrow that one for now. Oh, there's mine. Pop the ruler aligned with the sides of the shape and cut that excess fabric off. And I can double check that my 1/4 inch is going through my seams. That's wonderful, marvellous. Got that right for once. And then up there. Flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And again, this needs to be done 6 times. It's over on the other side there. Make sure everything's all beautifully lined up and then cut it off. So you will end up with 6 of these. Now, I put mine together with a hole in the middle. You may choose, there's another one there, we just trim this one off as well, to actually have no hole in the middle. If you're going to have no hole in the middle and have a solid piece, perhaps you want a table centre rather than a Christmas tree skirt, then the point here can be simply filled in with yet another triangle that is the same size as the grey ones and the tree ones, i.e. like this. So if you take one of these, which is exactly the same size as the other ones, and put it on, making sure you get the grains in the right place, so that will be a straight grain, that would give me a perfect 60-degree triangle, and 6 of those would make that wonderful hexagonal table centre without a hole in the middle. But I chose to have a hole in the middle of mine. So what you will now do is complete all your pieces and stitch them together. The nice thing about it when you come to sew them together is that this edge stretches it stretches. So that if you need to ease it, this is a technical term for giving it a jolly good push or pull, you will be able to make it fit. And it would be rather nice if the point here and the point there actually lined up. So pop the two pieces together, line up your points, and of course because you press the seam open and flat, you can see where to stitch through. If I was sewing this together, I would sew probably 3 sections together. There's another one there. And then 3 sections together, and then complete it by sewing the 2 halves together. So line up your junctions, and if they don't line up 100%, how about a few beads or other embellishments? Once you've got the entire thing together as a big hexagon, then it's time to turn for quilting it. Now we do have wadding on the, you'll find them on the website. There's lots of different waddings. You'll need a piece of wadding and indeed backing fabric, and a mini bolt is absolutely ideal for backing the proper Christmas tree skirt. Remember, I'm working with a smaller section simply because, it's on the floor too, there wasn't room on the counter for such a large piece of fabric. So I have sewn all 6 sections together. There is my finished tree skirt. This one doesn't have an edging on for the same reason as there isn't enough space. There is the hole in the middle. When I'm going to quilt it, I will layer my 3 layers. So my backing fabric wants to be bigger than your design. I have my wadding a little bigger than the design. I'm using the Heritage wadding here, the 80-20. The quilt goes on the top. Now you're going to anchor those layers together, and that is where the mini tag, micro tag, is so remarkably useful for literally tagging the layers together. Now if I'm doing a bigger piece of work, what I will very often do is I will lay my backing fabric on, if you can, the floor, or tape it to a table. Not everybody is able to kneel onto the floor. And if I've got it on the floor, I'll push pins into the carpet, holding it flat on the floor. I'll then lay the wadding on top and repin that to the carpet, or maybe even tape it to the table. Then I'll put my quilt on top, ease it out, pin it before I start tacking it together. So what you have done is kept everything as flat as possible. When you come to tack it, or indeed tag it with the micro stitch, work from the centre out, and you're going to be going through all of those layers. And as you can see, it comes right through to the very back, holding those layers firmly. Once you've got it tagged together, I'm only going to do a bit of this because there wasn't time. I didn't have enough fabric to do yet another here's one I did earlier sample. Sometimes doing the here's ones I did earlier. Oh. Once you've tagged it together, it will pay you to hand stitch all the way around the middle, or do it with the walking foot on your sewing machine. And also I would go round the outside edge to stop the layers from shifting. Because it's when you've hand stitched all around the middle there, that's when I would cut the centre out. I would not remove the centre until I've anchored it and secured it all the way around there. So I'm just going to pop it underneath this machine, set my machine to do the longest stitch length possible. Now bear in mind, you should be ideally using the walking foot, but there just isn't the time to change everything round for the walking foot. Now this machine will come with not only the machine itself, it comes with a very nice table and 3 patterns. So stitch round. Please use your walking foot, because if you don't, you'll get creep. And you're going to just literally anchor round the centre, all the way around, with a long stitch, either by hand or with the walking stitch. Once you've anchored round the centre through all the layers, that's when you can bind it. And the binding will be done with fabric cut at 45 degrees. So let me get a bit further around that. I won't worry about going any more around it, because all I want to show you is cutting out the centre. So take that out of there. So now you can cut the middle out. So stick your scissors through the entire thing and cut the centre out. So don't cut the centre out until you've stabilised all the layers, otherwise you're going to have a horrible problem. It'll move like there's no tomorrow. And we don't want that to happen. Right, having cut the middle out here, that's when it can be bound. Now, the binding. is fabric that is cut at 45 degrees. Where did I put my binding fabric? This will do. Open out your fabric. Find your folding ruler. On the folding ruler is, as is on all other rulers, a 45-degree line. On this ruler, it is here. To cut your binding, put the ruler so the 45-degree line is either along the top or on the side of the fabric, just along one straight edge. This puts the ruler at 45 degrees to the fabric. Cut up the edge there. It's not a very good cutter. Let's use that one. That will give you your angled 45-degree cut. Turn the fabric round and slice 1.5 inches or wider, doesn't really matter, whatever your width of binding is. I'll go for 1 3/4 on this to make life a little bit easier. Through there. Now I'd like to just very quickly take you through how you join binding together, because so many people get this in a bit of a muddle. Join your binding together by laying the pieces out, and it's the word right you want to hang on to. See how neat the ruler is, you can just fold it up and put it away. That is what will be right, a nice straight line, right. Whenever you join two layers together, you always match up the raw edges of the seam. I'm going to seam this, so I'm going to match up the raw edges. And strangely enough, when you match up the raw edges, you get a right angle there. But that's not enough rights. We need 2 more rights. Slide the fabric down, or it might slide up, it depends on the angle, until you have another right angle here and one there. Now you will be right, because your stitching will go in through that and out through that. So corner to corner, crack to crack, right angle to right angle. And that will work an absolute treat. So just to prove it, let's stick it under there, put my needle back into the middle. There we are. And you're going to sew through from one crack to the other. You, of course, will be sitting down at home and not balancing and do it on one leg. There we go. Remove all pins, please. So remember, you're going corner to corner. Lost my thread saver, never mind, we'll do without the scissors. And that will now give you a totally straight edge. At that stage, I will press the seam open and flat and cut the little points off. Then you can, either using single binding, where you will stitch it to the edge on the right side, all the way around there. Now, when it comes to the inside here, it will show you on the PDF, you'll have to fold it round the corners because it's an inner curve. It's much easier on the outside edge. If you found that binding it's going to really upset you, then simply re-stitch round the edge in a bit more, turn both edges in, the front and the back, and slip stitch round there by hand. The pot's going to be on top, so it's probably never going to notice. You'll use the same binding round the outside edge. So your tree skirt can be bound both in the middle and on the very edge, as mine is. Now, one small thing to explain to you all is that putting it to the tree. I did have one lady who spent an awful long time trying to get the tree through the hole, okay? The way you use a tree skirt is you lay the tree skirt down and you put the pot on top. There. Now, that is your Christmas tree skirt. If that, for some reason, was way too complex for you all, there's no reason why you couldn't just literally stitch 6 triangles together twice, put the 2 pieces together, literally like a cushion, onto some wadding, sew all the way around the edge. And may I just give a plug for these gloves, because when you are doing the quilting, the rough edge of this does help to grip the fabric remarkably well. They are nice, light, airy gloves, so if you're a person who finds your hands get a bit too hot, they won't get hot. On the other hand, if you're someone like me who has freezing cold fingers most of the year, then at least they keep your hands a bit warmer, and warm hands flex better. So there is also on the PDF the instructions for making a real beginner's version, just using that template. So cut round the template, 6 of them together, 2 lots, one side, one the other side, sew all the way around just like a cushion, leave a gap, turn it through. But I promised you the St. David's Star, and yes, I'm thinking here, you're saying, thank goodness for that, she's going to get to it at long last. The St. David's Star is on the wall. And the St. David's Star uses the various 3 templates. Now, if you were fortunate enough to buy the Fiskars rotating cutting mat, you will find it remarkably useful for cutting out your hexagons. Because what I did with my St. David's star I'm about to show you was I fussy cut one of the shapes from my fabric. If you're going to fussy cut, these clear templates give you the chance to see where to position it. So you will position the template over the right part of your fabric, and I've done it on this one already. Drawn light lines round the bit I actually want to have. And then it is simply a question of just cutting it out. And as this is the last time I'm ever going to do the St. David's star, I'll actually cut this one out. There. And turn it round. This is where, if you've been lucky enough to buy that mat, you'll be able to just spin the mat round. There we go. I like these templates particularly because they are multi-sizes. Right. So you will end up with your hexagon for the middle. You'll then want, and here's one I did earlier, some half hexagons. And the half hexagons are going to be cut from a 2-inch strip. From now onwards, every single piece of fabric apart from this will be 3.5 inches wide. If you take a 2-inch strip, some people find it quite useful to draw a 1/4 inch down one side. You'll see why in a moment. Take your hexagon. You're going to place the hexagon so that the point of the hexagon and the line going across here, working on the 3.5 inch cut one, is exactly aligned with the seam allowance I have drawn. Can you see? Half a hexagon. Point of hexagon, we're working with the 3.5 inch one, is on the line and also there. Let me just slide it a bit nearer the end because I tend to be very much like to save fabric. Can't think why I've got this need to save fabric in me. And then cut up this side and cut up the other. You will want 6 half hexagons, 3 in one colour and 3 in another colourway. How the design is then put together, and I've already got my 6 half hexagons, let's toss those on the floor, get them out of the way. You can all laugh. Yes, I do have to pick them all up at the end. How the design works, decide on the colour you're going to be working with, and I'm working with the white. Put the hexagon, the half hexagon, on top of the centre section, and the important piece is to make sure that these two overlap at the end, and you're only sewing a little bit of it. So let me very quickly sew a little bit of it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So shift your needle position to a 1/4 inch, and you're only going to sew it partially on there. Do not sew the entire thing. That bit has been stitched, and not that bit, only this section has been stitched, that piece has been left. Open it out. Your seams will probably go towards the outside edge, don't fuss about them. The next piece will then go right the way from one side to the other, will stick out even Stevens both ends, stitch it on, and you will plod your way round all the sides, stitching every other piece on and alternating the colours as you go, until you have got round to the beginning again. And here's one I did earlier. So having sewn round to the beginning again, flop the last piece right over and complete the seam. It's called partial seaming by some people. Once you have completed the centre of that, and again let's get rid of those pieces, you're going to need to cut from a 3.5 inch strip, diamonds using 3.5 inch diamonds, and triangles using 3.5 inch strips for the triangles. Basically how it's going to happen, we need to speed up a little bit, is you are going to take, but it's all on the PDF, 1 triangle and 1 diamond and sew them together. It will pay you to sew the diamond onto the same side of all of the triangles. Okay, so you'll end up with 6 pieces that are the same. Taking your completed centre, the same form of piecing. Make sure you stitch the first piece on so that it's only partially stitched. Work your way systematically round the entire thing, adding every other piece until you get round to the beginning again. Complete the seam. So each of the time you're doing partial seaming, and you will end up with your St. David's star. And if you put 6 of them together, you'll get something that looks a little bit like the amazing quilt which you can see on the PDF, which sadly is here only in black and white, that our Sasha Fancy did. It's absolutely fantastic, that. Now, I'm going to have to call Jenny back because we've got something to do before the end of the show. I threatened many times that the quilts were going to go and find a home. So hopefully our Jenny will wake up from her zombie mode and come galloping across here so that we can discuss how you're going to... Come on, Jen. Oi.
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 Sorry, I was like, just relaxing,
yes, I know,
watching
just
you,
relaxing. I just got to the end, having whipped through doing the St. David's Star rather rapidly because we've got that very important thing to do.
We've got giveaways.
We've got the giveaways. Mind all my bits of...
What's going on here?
Well, I'm afraid.
Looks like my bedroom.
I throw everything on the floor.
Looks like my daughter's bedrum.
Yes, yes.
Every
and so
day,
when
pick
you've
the
done
same
with it,
stuff
you throw
up off her.
it
That's what
all
she
on the
does.
floor. Quite.
I'll just try these outfits on 7 times.
Yes.
These clean things that my
Yes.
mother's put in my wardrobe.
Yes.
Then I'm going to put them back in the wash again.
And you know, I get asked many, many times, do I have to pick my own things up? And the answer is yes, of course. They
She doesn't.
make
She
me
has
do it.
she's got an entourage. She's like the Jay-Z of sewing. That's
No,
what's happening.
You've absolute total. That's complete and utter nonsense.
There are lots
Twaddle.
of... You've got the Jeanettes out there. The Jeanettes. Ready. Waiting.
Right, can we just tell them about the quilts then?
Please, yes, tell me.
On the wall, we've got these 2 quilts.
They're
These were
gorgeous.
made by 450-odd blocks sent in by 256 people.
Wow.
So the quilts were then put together by myself, and a lady called Beth Peake very kindly did all the embroidery, because this was the Dear Jane and Dear Jenny project.
Oh, that's
It comes
gorgeous.
partly from a book called Dear Jane, and partly from one of my books, or any of my books indeed, that are obviously written by Jenny Raymond. Plus you could make a block using a template, one of the Simplicity templates. The design had to be a 5-inch square, raw edge to raw edge. And
It's
all
beautiful.
these blocks arrived.
We've even got a create and craft block.
We have got a crate and craft block down the bottom there. So on the back is all the names of everybody embroidered by Beth Peake.
Oh.
What we had decided to do was that they were going to go to an organisation
Okay.
or somebody like somewhere like that, a hospital, a hospice, a school, perhaps a place for retired people, or somewhere where people can enjoy them. They're not bed quilts because they're made from too many different fabrics, and they've got lumps and bumps and texture things on them and beads and things, and they won't wash.
They're decorative,
They're
though, aren't
decorative.
they?
So they're going to be hung up, and there are 2 of them. I put it out at various quilting classrooms I've done to send me the name of a school, a hospice, a retired people's home, or something of that nature, where they would appreciate the colour, the shape, the form, the texture. We had a variety of replies, not as many as I'd have liked, I have to confess. So today is a day for choosing them.
Okay, so we've got this one and this one.
We've got this one and the other one. So we're going to, in a moment or two, choose who is going to be the lucky recipient of these particular pieces.
I shall go and fetch the hat of chance.
Now, I don't
The
want to
sorting
have
hat.
anything to do with it.
Oh.
All right, because it's not
Come on, Jackie boy.
it's not my thing. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for all of you out there that these quilts will go to 2 good homes. Who's going to get the first one? The first one being that one.
Okay, go. First one being that one. Do it, Jakey baby.
Am I reading first?
You read first, darling. You might need to read into my chest so everybody can hear you.
I'm going to do Anne Corlett.
And
Anne
from the
Corlett.
beaches in Birmingham.
Wow. No, I think it's for the beaches in Birmingham.
Oh, the beaches. Right, yes.
The Beaches is a retired people's home. I have a letter from Anne. And who's the other one going to go to? Who is it?
Lynn Twitt in Surrey.
I think it's Tuit.
Twitt.
In Surrey.
Surrey.
Oh, that is wonderful. Oh, I had somewhere. Where did I put it? There they are. Okay, I had a raft of letters
How
from various people. Isn't
amazing.
that absolutely super? Right, where's Lynn's letter? Okay, Lynn's letter said, Dear Jenny, I'd very much like, and listen everybody, to nominate my grandson's school to receive one of the Dear Jane, Dear Jenny quilts that I made a block for. So her block's on it. When I mentioned it to the deputy head teacher, he was so excited at the thought of possibly winning one to display. It would be fantastic if they could. And then she goes on to give me the school's name, which I will send it to. And she says, thank you, Jenny, for giving us the opportunity
say
to
the
try.
school?
I think we can say Birch Hill Primary School, don't you?
Hello to everybody at Birch Hill
In
Primary
Bracknell.
School.
Hello!
Yay!
Thank you, Jenny, for giving us the opportunity to try and win a fantastic quilt, and one I'm just a bit proud of being part of. I know it's taken a lot of work, blah, 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 and Beth's work to bring it to fruition, and I thank you for that too. So that's Lynn's. Now, where's
How
Anne's?
lovely.
Oh,
And then we're looking
there's
for
Anne.
Anne Call
Anne
It.
Call It. Right,
In case
okay.
there's two Annes.
Anne, no, there wasn't. Dear Jenny, sorry for late reply because she was late entry. The Beaches Retired People's Home would like to have the quilt because her grandchildren did 2 blocks.
Phoebe and Demi.
Yes, I think she was 6 and 7 or 6 and 9.
Oh, bless their hearts.
She gave me the address, and I think she says she thinks it would bring back some lovely memories of the older people making quilts and all the other things. Plus, some of the residents have dementia, and they think it might trigger some memories, and they can see it and they can feel it and they can touch it. So that,
things
I
like that
think,
and
is
songs and things are
wonderful. I mean, think the colour on the wall. They're going to look at the shape, they'll see the designs, there's all various little bits of fabric on it, so it's memories, and the kids at the school will just love it.
It's making me want to cry, this.
All right, so well done, Anne Call It, Anne Lynn, and thank everybody. Maybe next year I'll do something else. You might need to twist my arm, and probably Beth Peaks as well. But I was thinking something of
please
leaves.
do.
Maybe leaves, we'll do leaves.
I don't think she needs an arm twisting. She's already got it in her head. How lovely. Now, we have to pick for the cup of chance for the tickets as well. Do you want to pick those?
I'll pick
pair
the cup
of
of chance
tickets?
for tickets.
One.
Right, we're going to have that one. Okay, ticket, cup of chance is...
Marilyn Corns in Southport.
Well done, Marilyn.
Well done, Marilyn. Thank you so much for emailing in. And, of course, for every hour, you can email in and your name will be put into the cup of chance and you will be in with a chance of winning a pair of tickets to Grafting Live. It's on the 11th and 12th of November here in Peterborough. When are you on next, my
Well,
love?
the next quilting classroom is sometime in December. We're not quite certain as yet. It will be on the website. Because you know you can go to the website and watch this again until the next one comes on.
Oh, good.
I'm possibly on the 3rd of November with another show, and possibly on the 7th.
So it's next Thursday, is it the 3rd of November?
Possibly. I'll have picked up the old man from New York then. Do you know, he went off to New York. He gave me the last rose from the garden. OK, it was a rosebud and only the bud itself, because the stalk broke off when he picked it off the plant. So I have on my dining room table the last rosebud in an egg cup and a cold.
So that's what he's left you with.
Off to New York.
Off he goes.
Yes.
But he's going to come back laden with gifts.
No, he'll come back probably with a cough from the aircraft.
You might be surprised.
I don't think so, no.
Is the romance dead?
No, we've
It's
got to
not.
that sort of stage of acceptance, you know. I give him woolly socks and he gives me a pair of knickers, you know, something like that. Really exciting. After a while, you sort of get a bit like old shoes, don't they? But you still love them.
You've got to love them. You've got to love them.
Thank you all.
Talking of old shoes, we have got the amazing Ben coming.